Welcome to episode 3 of America in Crisis, Breaking the Cycle of Addiction. My name is David Hunt, and once again I will be your host for today's program. I am delighted to have two special guests with us today. Our first guest is Rick Jolly, well known in our community as a former police officer and is the program coordinator of the Mayor's Coalition Against Substance Abuse. Freddy Gonzalez is a certified personal trainer and owner at Freddy Life Fitness. Freddy's mission statement is here to help you make a better version of yourself. For the last 3 years, I have worked with both Rick and Freddy at Boot Camp for a Cause, and I was so inspired by their hard work and devotion to this crisis, I just had to have them on my show. Thank you both for appearing today. Let's start with Rick Jolly. Rick, how was the coalition formed and how long has it been operating?
Well, back in April of 2015, I had recently retired from the police department, and Mayor Galvin called me up and asked me if I had time to meet with him. And so I went up and we talked for a while and talked about the opiate crisis and the effect it's having on the community. And he, at that point, he asked me if I'd be interested in this, in this job, part-time position as the program coordinator. So basically, the coalition came into effect in April of 2015.
Very good. Rick, what can you tell us about the substance abuse prevention programs that you offer in the schools?
Well, we usually try to do 2 or 3 programs a year in the middle schools. We've had numerous speakers come in, and we do a couple also in the high school. We try to get 2 in a year. We've had numerous outside speakers come in, such as Jeff Allison, used to be a professional baseball player who battled addiction for years. Chris and Kathy Sullivan. Chris Sullivan was a former Patriots player and spent, I believe, 6.5 years in the NFL. And he had a substance abuse issue also. Battled that for several years until he finally had to retire from the NFL. And so Chris now, I think he's been clean about 11 or 12 years. And his wife Kathy actually lost her 16-year-old daughter who was at a party in the woods, and they were binge drinking one night at her particular high school. And the daughter wandered off trying to make her way home in the woods and ended up falling in a small swampy area and died in about 2 feet of water.
That's horrible.
Yeah, terrible, terrible situation. But they're very, very powerful presentation. They have a lot of impact on the kids and the parents. They hold a lot of their attention, or hold the audience's attention. They have a great story to tell. We've also brought in a group of people called the Improbable Players.
Oh, yeah,
who
I
come
know
in.
them.
Yeah, they come in from Watertown, and they're a group of addicts in long-term recovery that are into acting. So they have several different plays. I believe they have 4 different productions that they put on. So we've had him come in probably 6 times now.
Okay.
To do their presentation in front of the classrooms. And just recently this year at the middle school, we got into a vaping program, and our guest speaker that I brought in was a gentleman named Robert Hackinson. And Rob owns a company named Dynamic Influences. And he has 3 or 4 different programs that he puts on for the kids. This particular one was on vaping, the effects of vaping, dangers of vaping. And the good thing about Rob is he has a great way of holding the students' attention as well. He has some, he's a magician.
Yes.
So he has a little bit of, adds in a little bit of magic here and there, adds in a little bit of humor, really relates to the kids. And, again, he was a great presentation, and hoping to bring him back again in the spring to the middle schools, and maybe bring the Improbable Players back into the middle school and high school later on in the year.
So you feel we have to start at the middle school because you're not catching them at the high school. By the time they're in high school, they're already using the substance, and let's catch them early, and maybe we can prevent them. Correct.
I mean, that's the mayor and I have discussed it at length, and he's all on board with pushing hard in the middle schools, and trying to get started. We've even tossed around the possibility of doing a 5th grade program at the elementary school level. using a good friend of mine, Brian Tagg.
Okay, yeah.
Brian's a Woburn.
He just spoke at something, I think, what was it, at the
Correct.
Oaks, I believe he
Yep,
just spoke.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Brian's done a lot of work with me. And again, this is all on his own time. You know, he's in long-term recovery himself. Brian was born and raised here in Woburn. Went off to the president of his class, I believe, 4 years in a row. Also, National Honor Society student. Went off to University of North Carolina or Chapel
Okay.
Hill, and that's when his addiction issues and you know.
They're away from
started-
home and they're in the
yeah,
environment, and
exactly,
your friends are
started to-
doing it,
Yep.
your sorority, your fraternity is doing it.
Yep.
I'm going to be the only one not doing it. You might not even want to do it, but everybody in the room is doing it, and that's where the problem
Yeah,
develops.
so that's kind of where he went. You know, he went off the deep end, but he's been clean and sober for quite a few years. He actually the director of Michael's House Sober Living in
Yes.
Wilmington, and again, he does so much work with us, and collectively, I helped him start a program at it's Solutions Over Sickness, where what they do is they have a family support meeting on Wednesdays.
Well, sounds like the Mayor's Coalition is really making a difference in the community.
Yeah, well, you know, we help people get off the ground with some of these programs, and they have the program runs at the Lutheran Church of the Redeemer,
Okay?
and it's Wednesday nights, 6 o'clock. So, you know, anybody that has issues with a family member that's struggling with addiction, or a close friend struggling with addiction, and you're looking for some support, some advice, you can just drop in the Lutheran Church of the Redeemer any Wednesday night at 6. And again, Brian's done a lot of work also with me in the high schools, in the health programs, and even in some of the classrooms, going and talking to some of the kids. In addition to him, I have Tony Ramos, who was also a Woburn
Okay, yes.
kid, born and raised. Tony is a graduate of Michael's House Sober Living, and he's been clean and sober for several years now. And he also, you know, again, has helped me out numerous occasions doing presentations in the schools. In addition to that, we partnered with Tony to start an AA meeting,
Okay?
also with the Lutheran Church of the Redeemer, and that congregation is just awesome. They're a great partner. They, you know, they give us plenty of time that we have use of their facilities. They open their doors to us, and Tony runs an AA program. It's a 12-step program. That's on Tuesday nights starting at 5:30.
That's great information for our viewers to take note of. Now, I also noticed the Mayor's Coalition, you put on a vigil on the Common, I believe, every August 31st. Am I correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that, Rick? What goes on at the vigil?
That is where my partnership with Justin Lucchese and Marie Lucchese and the Justin's Voice Foundation, that's one of the things that we do in cooperation with them. You know, they do a lot of the logistics, a lot of the planning. You know, I set up the things at the Common, set up all the, you know, the audio, make sure everything's in place. And basically what we do is we try to reach out to the community and bring people in to just, you know, remember those who have passed through substance use. And we have quite a few.
You know, I work with you at Justin's Voice at the boot camp for the cause, and that benefits Justin's Voice. Could you tell our viewers exactly what Justin's Voice is? Who was Justin Lucchese? Could you inform our viewers of the tragedy that this went down?
Well, Justin Lucchese was a young man also, born and raised in Woburn. Justin struggled with addiction for many, many years. He succumbed to his struggle and overdosed several years ago. And as a result of that, his family was working very closely with me and in the coalition,
Yes.
and they were basically the cornerstone of the coalition from day one. And what they did is they created a nonprofit foundation called Justin's Voice Foundation, where they have actually paid for many of my outside speakers, you know, pay to have the Improbable Players come in. They donate their time, their the money that they raise, fundraising money to benefit the community. You know, they're very, very involved in the substance addiction issues in the community. And they've actually, other things that they've done too is they've given scholarships to people struggling with addiction, whose families can't afford, either don't have the insurance or can't afford the certain treatments. And so what they'll do is they'll give the family money to make sure that they get the help they need.
I know Carmen Lucchese puts on wonderful programs that are available. You guys just need to know that these programs are out there and where to turn. Rick, what can you tell us about, you run a program called Teens on Track. What is that?
Teens on Track is basically a summer program that's trying to get kids that might be on the edge of turning in the wrong direction. You know, they're struggling in school. You know, they might have some social issues. And what we did is going back in the summer of 2016, I think it was probably around April or May, after I put my idea out there to the mayor, and he was completely on board, fully approved it. I teamed up with Doug Murphy.
Yes.
And Doug at the time was working at the senior center in Woburn on School Street. And basically we took 2 students from, one from each middle school. You know, a student that was at risk. Sat down with the guidance counselors and Anthony Imperioso,
Yes.
you know, the school resource officer, the principal, assistant principal, and we went over a list of kids who would be interested in getting into the program. And what the program entails is it's a 6-week program. They work for the city,
Okay.
closely supervised on one-on-one basis for that 6-week period. It's 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. And, you know, their hours depending on their schedule. Some of them, you know, were coming up to the high school. These were kids that were transitioning from the 8th to 9th grade. So some of them were coming up to the high school for summer school or some other program. So we'd adjust their schedule accordingly. That 3 hours could fall anywhere between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. After that, then, you know, they weren't allowed to work because they're 14 years old.
Sounds like this program's definitely absolutely making a difference. I mean, obviously we have to thank Mayor Scott Galvin for having the faith in the program, for putting it together and allowing you to run with it. I think they've done a tremendous job in Woburn, not only helping people avoid the addiction, but putting the education out there. Education is so important. A lot of people don't realize that up until today, according to the Middlesex District Attorney's office, we've had 186 deaths so far up until today, dying of an overdose of substance abuse. So it sounds like these programs are making a difference. However, 186 is a high number. Even 1 is a high number. Now we're going to introduce Freddy Gonzalez. Freddy, you are the owner of Freddy Life Fitness. What can you tell us about Freddy Life?
Freddy Life Fitness is 2,000 square foot studio that I run fitness classes out of, one-on-one training. It started about 10 years ago. I was struggling myself with addiction, and I needed to find a way to deal with my feelings, and I fell in love with fitness, and it became a passion, and now I give back to my community that way.
What do you offer? What programs do you offer? Is this a gym? Is it weights? Is it like a Zumba class? Is it high intensity exercise?
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you offer us?
My gym is full of functional training equipment. You know, I love to design metabolic workouts where we burn fat, build lean muscle, and get tough mentally. So you're gonna find kettlebells, dumbbells, conditioning ropes, punching bags. There's not much to sit on, and I did that for a reason. I didn't want to be lazy. I wanted to be creative and get you moving, get that heart rate up, and get those natural endorphins rolling. So that's what you're gonna find in my studio.
And where are you located? What type of building are you in?
I'm at 8 Micro Drive, Woburn, Massachusetts, 2nd floor. I'm above gymnastics and more.
And how did you get to know Rick Jolly? How did the two of you guys meet, and what is the relationship?
Well, several years ago, I wanted to give back to my community and help fight against this epidemic that's destroying my community. And I had an idea of starting a fitness boot camp where people can gather and, you know, get those natural endorphins rolling, and hopefully someone out of the crowd that's dealing with something will fall in love with fitness like I did, and, you know, raise awareness and raise money. So I started knocking on some doors, and it led me to Rick Jolly. And it's been an amazing ride. It's 5 years now, and we were just in touch with each other during the year, shooting ideas back and forth about this boot camp. And if he ever needs me to help him with, troubled youth or something, I'm involved with that too.
Now, how are you involved in Justin's Voice? I understand that when you put the boot camp on, that the money you raise is donated to Justin's Voice?
Yes, it is. I had this idea about the boot camp for a cause, and of course we're going to raise awareness, but also I wanted to raise money to go towards an organization that would help fight this epidemic. So Rick offered Justin's Voice, and that's how I met them. They're a great organization. They're really out there involved in the community, and I'm pleased to be a part of that.
I see you donate the fees. This is an amazing group, Justin's Voice. I see you donate the fees to it. That's great. Every little bit helps to get the message out for Justin.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. So Rick, back to you. You've been in law enforcement for how many years? Roughly.
40.
Okay, so you've been around.
Yeah, I started off in corrections, Mass Department of Corrections, and then came to the Woburn Police Department in 1983.
And do you see the problem starting at an earlier age now than before? I mean, obviously you've grown for 40 years. You see the age difference going lower and lower between adults now into high school, and you just mentioned middle school?
Yeah, in reality, I mean, years ago, alcohol was obviously more prevalent in marijuana, but again, marijuana back then, you go years ago, you're talking the THC content. THC level was so much lower than it is today. So now when you have kids in middle school who are smoking weed back 20 years ago, it's a little different effect. The weed out there now is not your grandfather's marijuana. It's a little bit
I keep hearing is, oh, Dad did it, Grandpa did it.
Yeah.
Well, the levels are so much higher now.
Right. Yeah. And the effect it has on the underdeveloped adolescent brain is just, it can be a very serious situation. And basically, the brain doesn't fully develop until between the ages of 23 and 25. So if you have a young man or young woman that's smoking marijuana on a daily basis, it could definitely have a permanent effect on their brain development.
And now I just saw a tragedy a couple of nights ago. A woman allegedly was in an accident and said that allegedly she had some cannabinoids.
Yeah,
Do you think now they're
vaping.
making this legal, it's causing more of a product that impairs you? That's really a good idea, to put another product you're drinking. Even if you go to a party, have 1 or 2 beers, and you're fine. And now that marijuana is legal, you're putting another substance that impairs your judgment. Was that really the best idea they came out with?
Well, I mean, that's obviously that's a personal opinion. My personal opinion is no, probably not a great idea. But the people voted, the people spoke, and that's that's where it's at. I can tell you one thing is you probably will not see a they don't even want to call it recreational marijuana, or an adult marijuana distribution facility in the city of Woburn, because with the mayor spearheading it, the city council had actually passed a city ordinance after the legislature allowed us to make that decision at a local government level rather than putting it to a vote again. And since the city of Woburn voted down question 4 to begin with,
Yes.
then city council was able to pass a city ordinance prohibiting retail marijuana shops. Completely exclusive, completely aside from medical marijuana. That's a completely different issue.
Absolutely.
Different statute.
And it's under totally different circumstances where they're taking it.
Yeah,
The big
correct.
worry is after you saw the big push, now they're busting them to the facility. People that wouldn't take drugs and do marijuana because, oh my God, it's an illegal drug, I don't want that reputation. But now that it's recreationally, it's like it's going getting a soft drink. And people are going to try it. They wouldn't try it before because of the worry about what's it going to look like in front of my friends. Well, now that it's legal, I think I'll go and try it. And that's one thing's going to lead to another and lead to another. Could be a gateway. They could stop at marijuana. You don't know anymore what's going to happen because of it's no longer a stigma. It's just as easy as picking up a box of popcorn. Nothing illegal about popcorn. I'll pick up with marijuana. I don't have to explain myself anymore because it's legal.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those things we have no control over.
Yeah.
Statewide, but we do have a control over it, locally. And unfortunately, we have to live with it. That's the law. It would be nice when they can actually develop, some type of field sobriety to detect the level of impairment, on the roadways relative to cannabis. But
It is also great to know that Mayor Galvin obviously cares about the community. I know some of the communities get money back from the sale profits of the marijuana. He'd rather put that in jeopardy and lose that than put our citizens in jeopardy and have another person get the ability to get high. And you have to commend the mayor on that decision. It's awesome.
yes, yep.
If you had your last words, your parting words for everybody, what are your parting words for today?
Parting words?
What message do you want to get across? What the Substance Abuse Coalition does, what would you like to get across to us?
Basically, we're trying to raise awareness. We're trying to make the students, but especially the parents, aware of the problems, aware of the dangers. It's not like it was years ago where you would have, especially opioid addiction, would be like a certain group of people that dabbles in it. Now it's become so prevalent. Pill parties, the overprescribing of opiates, the easily accessibility of it, and then obviously, moving on, if you can't refill your prescription once you've been hooked. We got all kinds of different people now. Teenagers that that are getting hooked on opiates relative to traumatic sports injuries. And then they're looking to get more pills and more pills and more pills. And if you're looking at like buying a Percocet or a OxyContin, you're going to be paying $1 a milligram.
Yeah.
So a 30 milligram OxyContin is going to be $30 in the street. Well, 25 years ago, I was buying heroin in Lawrence, Lowell, and Chelsea for $4 a bag.
Wow.
But the potency of that heroin was low, 13, 17%, somewhere around there. Now the potency of the heroin's in the 90s, and it's cut with fentanyl, which is twice as strong as the heroin itself. So it can affect anybody. I mean, anybody. There's so many people out there that we're on the right track, National Honor Society, great scholarships to school, and then that downward spiraling, and so many families, so many parents are in denial. They're not looking at the warning signs. They're not having those conversations with their kids, and they're not even coming to our public forums. They're not coming to get themselves involved. They're not coming to educate themselves.
And that's important. I mean, the family should just go to the education rather than find the child is overdosed. If you see a warning sign, if you see something just isn't right, his attitude, her attitude has totally changed. She's not the same person. Something's wrong. You've got to inquire and find out if they got hooked on a drug. They need your help. They need your support. These are young minds that are listening to their peers, that are giving them the drugs in the first place. So they're going to say, oh, don't worry about it. That's where the parents have to step up. I'm sure everybody out here are good parents, but don't ignore the warning signs. There are so many places. And the reason we have this show is to let the parents know, let the people that are addicted to a substance know there's help available. And that's the whole purpose of what we're doing. We're putting it out there. We're putting the information out. We have our guests that are giving you alternatives. I didn't know about Freddy Fitness till I went to the boot camp. I only knew Rick Jolly is, yep, he's the cop I used to say hi to. I never knew about the Mayor's Coalition Against Substance Abuse till I went to the boot camp. I'm sure everybody who were viewing the show never even heard of it. And this is why we have these programs. This is why the mayor developed his Office Against Substance Abuse. This is why District Attorney Marion Ryan has an opioid task force. That meets once a month over at Lawrence Memorial Hospital. That consists of police chiefs, fire chiefs, EMS. We have speakers. We have people that come in, even the improv came in and showed people what are available. So when the police chief says, hey, there's help out there, the police chief can actually give you what that help is, not just tell you there's help, go Google it. The chief, his department, his officers will have a list of where they can send you for the actual help. I know Woburn sends a lot to Leahy Clinic. Leahy runs, my mistake, Leahy Hospital, my apologies. But to Leahy, that's what happens when you're old and you remember there's a clinic all these years. But Leahy Hospital has a wonderful program. There's Stephen Woods over there. That's an awesome speaker. I've taken courses under him. He's a wonderful speaker. The knowledge that this man can provide, the programs that Leahy can offer are just fantastic. And this is where Woburn will usually send you. If you call the coalition, if you look at the Woburn's website, they will refer you to Leahy. And I'm just bringing up Leahy because they're local. There are dozens of programs available. You just need to go to look for them. So please, I urge the parents. If you see your child suddenly has a different attitude, things have changed, he's withdrawn, he's quiet, he's overactive, hyperactive, the signs are out that something's different, have a talk with your child. He'll listen to you. Freddy, what are the final words you'd like to say to our viewers? Obviously, your mission is a better you through fitness and nutrition. Just elaborate a little bit more on that.
Well, being someone that's in sobriety myself, I'll have 11 years in May. Again, I got into fitness to deal with feelings. And I know a lot of these individuals that are abusing alcohol or substance abuse are dealing with feelings, whether it's anxiety, depression, whether it's tough at home. So I am in the business to help you create the best version of yourself. If you are struggling with addiction, if you're struggling with anxiety, if you're struggling with depression, I'm someone you can get in touch with, and I'll definitely help you out. And if I can't, I'll send you to someone that can. If you have a troubled youth, definitely I love to work with the youth. I'm actually thinking about starting a nonprofit with the troubled youth. So if you are struggling in any way, shape, or form, and you want to create the best version of yourself, and you want to deal with the feelings in a positive way, you can give me a call, or you can find me on any social media outlet and send me a message.
That's great. You guys have been awesome guests. I want to thank our guests, Rick Jolly, Freddy Gonzalez, for appearing today on camera. I know it takes a lot to come out here and do something like this. The programs these people offer are phenomenal. Please take advantage of them. People that are watching this, please, I urge you, if you have kids, if you have someone you know that has a substance problem, give them the link, let them know on Google how to find this. This information can save somebody's life. We have some exciting upcoming guests coming up shortly. Rick Jolly mentioned that one of the substances is tobacco and the vaping. We're going to be having a guest from the American Lung Association with us shortly, and we're going to be having Marion Ryan, the District Attorney of Middlesex County, is going to be one of our upcoming guests in the near future. I'm really looking forward to that happening. So for America in Crisis, Breaking the Cycle of Addiction, my name is David Hunt. Until next time, this obviously is a holiday show. If you don't see us again until after the holidays, I wish everybody, you, your family, a happy holiday. Happy New Year. Be safe. And again, the information is available. Get the help you need. Perfect example of help is available. And with that, I wish everybody a good afternoon.